Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, we're going to check the water seal again. And again, well, I don't want to give too much away. I run my third water test and I didn't get any leaks until I made it right up to the almost tippy top. When I was about halfway up, water wasn't leaking. Now I don't know if the water took a while to get through a slow leak before it started to leak, or it took till it get to the top here to have a leak up closer to the cracks of the glass with the sealant there. So some drips were coming off on this side in the middle, but that doesn't mean anything. It could be leaking from over here, more than likely leaking from here or here and going down. But halfway full right now, there's no leaks. So if it stops dripping, which it has, and we're about an inch above the glass, we should be good. So one other thing I've been working on is one of my old trees died. This was a Sabina juniper that had some really fantastic movement, and this past year it died, and I saved it for a project just like this. And if I go ahead and put this right here in the water as a downed tree, most of this will be underwater except for this little gin right here, and everything will be under the water and the fish can swim around underneath in there, and you'll be able to see the fish and that branch. So that's pretty cool. So this is a little bit higher than eye level, the camera is, so we'd lower the view a little bit. I'd want to raise this tank a little bit higher for viewing purposes so people can see more, just kind of like this angle. And this will be kind of fun inside the pot. I've got some roots I can trim back so I just see the bigger roots, but they'll be right up in the front there, and this tree is that way. The other angle, of course, so I could put that in the back and maybe cross it over this way, and the fish can have fun swimming in and around those branches right there. I tend to like this angle better. We could lay it down this way, all the way flat, so it's in the whole fish tank. We can trim some roots to make it fit any way we want to. And that's just a down tree from the past, floated down river or fell off the cliff. And that would be a huge, monstrous tree. And sometimes on these trails in the North Shore, when we walk across these creeks, there are trees like this too. I could have it laying like that, like it fell over. It fell over and it was a big enough tree where it laid like that. So we can play with some of that. And when the water's in here, this would be below the water. We could maybe cut this one down to size, but this and this would be underwater. Now that's before there's any rocks here, so it might not work when there's rocks here, but I could have something like this that falls over this, like it fell over from the wind. So some things to try out. Pretty exciting stuff. Bad news, there is still a little leak. We have the fish pot tank halfway full of water, and we have a little bit of water that's on the right hand side of the tank towards this foot of the tank and towards the back one back there. I'm not sure what's leaking. There's a little drip right behind this foot right here.
back around the corner here. There's a little drip. I can't figure out where it's going. So from the top view, looking right over here, somewhere on that seam, there might be a little leak, but it could also be on this seam because there's some water on the back foot back there as well. So somewhere in that seam or that seam, this side right here seems okay. Oh, frustrating. So some Flex Seal was put on here as a final coat after all the sealant I put on. I thought some Flex Seal would maybe seal up all those little tiny holes. So I'll either Flex Seal one more time on this side and give it a test, and then if it still leaks, perhaps we're gonna have to do a little bit more sealant. There's a lot of sealant down there, so I'm a little concerned. So after the last test, which was post putting some Flex Seal along the sealant areas, a really tiny leak with water about 1/3 of the way, maybe close to 1/2, the leak started. So I don't know if the leak's from here on up, if it's still close to the bottom, but something is not holding down here, and it's getting me concerned now because I put so much sealant on. I'm wondering if the sealant is not completely connecting the pond liner to the glass. But it looks real good there after I put my Flex Seal type product here. It's a real good seal. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some seal on this side only. And that won't tell me if the water is seeping down here and going underneath, but I'm gonna do this side. And there are a couple of bumps right here. There's not very smooth. So I'm just wondering if there's some loose spots. So I'm gonna go ahead and have a real thin glove on, and I'm gonna go ahead and really try to make it as smooth as possible. So time to put a little bit more sealant on. Getting my mask on, we'll be ready to go. The last couple times I put the sealant on, I was using a pencil. I was using like a pencil to put all this on here. And I noticed when I was using the pencil, there sometimes seemed to be air pockets in there. So I used my finger this time to really smooth out some of these spots. And smooth it out really, really nice and smooth onto these liner sections. And smooth out some of the bumps. So hopefully it really secures and there's no air pockets and no water gets through. So, once again, we have to wait for 48 hours before we can do test, I think, number 4. Though I am super excited, as I often am with bonsai, to test out the pot, I'm also very nervous. This will be test number 4. I think I'm up to 4. I put some sealant on. It's been on here for over 48 hours. I put it on this left side, or the right side of the pot rather, my left right now, because the leak seemed to go over here. However, the leak could come here, seep down, and make its way over there, so I never really know. I used my finger this time to really smooth on the sealant to hopefully get really nice tight suction, if you will, of the sealant to the material, instead of have it possibly just kind of fluff up and make not a really good contact. So we're gonna go ahead and put some water in, and we're gonna give it a try. I'm gonna start my stopwatch as well and see how long it goes without leaking. I'm not sure why, but I just thought it'd be fun. Let's go ahead and start the stopwatch. And here we go. So the water line is right about here. I've been able to fill up the tank to here with no leaks the last couple of tests, and then to about here. But I don't know if the leak was just really slow, so if I would have stopped here, it eventually would have started to leak out anyway. But we have it up to here, about an inch above the lip. And of course, at first inspection down below, there's no drips yet. And so we're at the first 30 seconds with the stopwatch, and so we'll see, check that, check the leaks, and we're just gonna let this go for a while. About 2 minutes in and no leaks down here on the glass table. So as I peer inside, if it's a slow leak, it's really slow. Remember, I'm about a third full for the full tank, about an inch above the lip here. So yeah, not quite half full, a little more than a third, not quite half. We'll wait till about 5 minutes before I add any more water. I want to see a good 5+ minutes to see if there's going to be any leaks in this, in the slow fashion. So maybe I'll try to clean some of my plant room while I wait. As we approach 8 minutes, there are still no leaks. Again, the water just above the lip. So as we hit the 10-minute mark on the experiment, no drips down below on the glass. And what I'm wondering now is on this back side, this side is above the sealant, which is below this lip of the pot, but on this side, the sealant comes right where my finger is, about a ½ inch from where the current water line is. So as I put water above this little section right here on this back glass, I wonder if there's any leaks back there. So that'll be just a theory. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to add some more water. So now I'm clearly above the sealant mark on that back plexiglass. And now we're halfway up the glass that's visual, and we're over halfway full. We can only add about 2 inches of water to this pot, probably another gallon, give or take. And we're gonna see if there's any leaks. So at first glance, as we hit about 11.5 minutes and I've added that new water, there's no leaks so far at the bottom of the fish tank. As we approach the 15-minute mark, the water is still in the pot above both of the seals in the front and back glass with no drips of water on the glass table. With that water in now, we are about a ½ inch from the top of the glass. We are about a ¼ inch from going over the edge over here. There could be some spots on this left corner that's maybe not as sealed. Over here as well. So this is where it gets tricky. We will eventually put sealant up here with rocks, sealant over here, sealant here, and sealant here, so there's no leaks off these lower cracks. But as that's on there now, close to the top, do we have any leaks down below? As I look underneath the Bonsai Pot tank, nothing leaking at the moment. We are at just about 17 minutes in now, and I don't see any drips, and the water's almost where we want it in the end. It's nice to see the Bonsai Pot tank on a table as it will be presented in the future, and you can see it's almost parallel. It's almost level right here. We got a little bit more glass showing here than here by probably 1 millimeter or 2. I mean, to the naked eye, most people won't see that. As I have rocks again here, and I have rocks here, I'll be able to put the water another ¼ inch higher, almost to the very tip here. So it's going to be super exciting to put fish in there. We're going to have to figure out a light system so you can see in there a little bit, and we're going to also put some bonsai tree, old bonsais, the ones that I've been keeping since they died, so we can have fallen trees into this fish tank pot, bonsai pot tank thingamabob. As we approach 20 minutes on the test, I can't keep in the excitement. There's no leaks today. It's the first time. I think it's test number 4. The fish tank bonsai pot contraption is doing what I envisioned it would do. We're going to be able to put bonsai soil in here next. We're going to be able to plant a few trees. And then we're going to be able to figure out the water system here with my pump and my bubbler. And we'll be able to put some small rocks in there. We'll get some plants hopefully in the fish tank. So we'll get some plants underneath too, maybe some grasses, and make this a really fun bonsai ecosystem. All the moisture from the water will keep the trees
a little bit maybe more moist and humid than any of my other trees because it'll be by a bonsai pot, or be by a fish tank rather. No leaks from this side. I'll take some water out down to about here, and then we'll add some fish tank gravel. I've got some black gravel, so it keeps it all nice and dark, and then I have some lighter colored pebbles that look more natural, but they'll be much lighter than these colors. Some of the light browns in this right here might come through of those rocks, but there'll be more black gravel and just a few of those little tiny pebbles. And then we'll add some of the other rocks that we received from that shipment, because if we just put those inside the fish tank, they'll be nice and dark, and we'll just lay some of those in there for some texture in the fish tank. That's after the gravel though. So next up, we're just gonna let this sit for a while longer. I'm gonna go collect some of my fish tank gravel from the garage where it's being stored. I'll bring it in here, and we'll just see how long this goes dripless. An exciting day. Yeah, a full 30 minutes into the experiment and there's still no leaks. So we're going to take some of the water out right now and make it a little bit less full, and I'm going to sift out some of my black fish tank gravel, because there's some bigger rocks and then the sand, and I want to get all the sand in the bottom layer, and then I'm going to put some bigger little pebbles, I guess, on top of that. So we're going to sift that out next. So we'll take some water out and sift some of the fish tank gravel. So I have my bonsai sifter. I'm going to go ahead and pour in some of the gravel. From the fish tank out in the garage. This is frozen. So there we have some gravel. Look, there's even some marbles in here. This must have been a plant that didn't do so well. We have some other rocks. We'll put the rocks in a separate container. So now I have my really nice black sand that'll be in the bottom of the fish tank. Then we have pebbles and rocks of all different sizes that we can decorate a lot later. I went ahead and I got some sand in here. We have it about 1 to 2 inches thick. As I put my finger down there, yeah, we're a good 1.5 to 2 inches, I think, of the gravel on the bottom. So hopefully that'll be trapping all that good bacteria for the fish. We have some floating pieces here. As you can see, my hand, we got some of the black sand there. So this will have to settle for a little bit. I'm going to have to get the filtration system hooked up in here so it kind of gets all that settled eventually, because right now I'm just slowly settled to the bottom. But we're just going to keep this sitting in here and see if we have any leaks of the fish tank bonsai pot. Now as I check my stopwatch over here, I'm now at about 37 minutes in the experiment, and we have no leaks. So we have gravel coming right up to the lip of the pot here. So I might want to shove some of that back a little bit so it kind of goes maybe up towards the back and the fish can swim around there, because we might have some rocks in there as well. So I might have put a little bit too much sand in this first go around, but I wanted to just kind of see what it looks like at first, and we can always take stuff away. So we have more floating, we have some unsettled stuff here. We'll just let it sit and keep this test going on for the pot leaking, which so far, no leaks. 40 long minutes into the experiment, and there are no leaks down below in the pot. There is gravel, fish tank gravel, on the bottom now to stay, and I'd lift this right now, but I don't even think I can. With this positive test, I can move on to the next level of the fish tank bonsai pot contraption. So the water is settling. We've got some stuff still floating here. All this stuff will just take some while. We'll get some water circulating in here. We'll maybe put the bubbler in a little later, maybe set up the filter, add some more water again. But I'm going to put some bonsai soil now that'll be in the bottom. So I've got some small, medium, and large bonsai particles of both pumice and lava rock. I'm still waiting on akadama from the backed up shipment process. But I'm not worried about akadama on the bottom, and I'm not worried about akadama in this whole planting. I will put a little bit of recycled akadama that I have in this planting. But for right now, I want some big drainage bonsai soil. So I'm gonna get my largest size of the pumice and the lava rock from out in the garage, and we'll put a nice little layer here for some good drainage. We'll get about 1 inch of that size in there. So I'm gonna do that now while this test continues to go on. We have the large pumice and lava rock mixture, half and half. And there we have a nice layer of large lava rock and pumice to provide that really good drainage down there at the bottom. And then we're going to use the pre-mixed soil that I have here in the plant room when we're getting ready to transplant some of the trees in here. So this is ready to start thinking about designing some trees. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to plug in and do a little test of the water system while we got this water in here and things are still looking good with the stopwatch approaching the 50-minute mark and still no leaks. So we're in a good spot right here. So I have my filtration system here that we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in and we're going to see if we can get this thing to work and start filtrating the water. Now it won't be long term, it's just going to be a test. So I got this submergible pump that has some suction cups I could put right to the glass, but we're going to end up putting it probably down just at the bottom level. And it shoots water up this tube, so you can make the water go here and make streams that go into the water. But this tube fit right in there, and that tube is going to shoot out the water, and that tube is going to hang over the edge here, right here, and come back into the structure. So we'll put a rock up there for now to hold it in place, just like this. And we're going to put this submerged in the water, like that. There, just collected some air pockets, and we'll go ahead back here. And we're going to go ahead and plug this in right here live on camera. And there's our little stream. So this little stream of water will start back here in the corner. It'll come down some rocks and it'll come right over the edge, and we'll have our little aeration system with moving water. Then I also have some bubbles. Let's plug in the bubbler. The bubbler is going to give me that nice small bubbles into the fish tank, and the bubbler is going to fit underneath at the lower part of the pot where I left that gap so long ago, and we're going to see if we can get some air in here. There we go. So there's the air right there. So we'll put that under some rocks, and this black cord will seep up the back here. We'll have some rocks in here, so we'll have a little bit of a bubbler that's on part of the tank, maybe off to this side or this side, probably away from the water here. We'll probably put it on this side. So maybe it'll come back over here, provide a little air bubble. Here's the filtration system. So seeing how high the filtration system sits, I will probably take away a little layer of this soil. It's a small fish tank. There's only going to be about 5 to 10 small little neon tetras in there. This is going to be plenty of filtration, and it's for a 5-gallon tank, and this is going to be about 4 gallons of water, so we have a good filtration system. So we're just going to leave this on for a little while. This is going to keep filtering the water through, maybe settle some of those, some of the gravel I put in. We've got the bubbler in there. This is making noise because it's on the gravel and not flat, but if I put it back here, now I can't hear that. I do hear a little bit of the bubbles from the bubbler, So we can regulate that air. I can get a regulator and make it a little bit less air, a little bit more air. And I like the stream of this right here. So when that flows over the edge right here in this little creek, it's a perfect pressure. It's not too hard, not too soft. If it gets blocked, it's not going to splash anywhere ferociously. So we'll be able to put that over here on some rocks, right? And it's going to flow down and make a waterfall. Something like that. Nice and quiet this way. Makes a little bit more noise if it's like that. We'll have to work on that in the coming days. But for right now, we're just going to kind of get this thing to filter the water a little bit and just keep testing it. One last look at the stopwatch shows that we're coming in at about 55 minutes here. We're 54:22 and no leaks down below. So we're coming up on the first hour of this test. We've got the fish tank running, the bubbler, the water here. I do have a little heater, and this heater right here is also black and submergible, and this will just kind of tuck in right here, and we'll get this fish tank the temperature that those little neon tetras are gonna like. Fantastic. I hate to do this to you, but I think this is a good place for us to stop. Because the next time I turn this camera on, we're either going to be planting some trees and or setting up the fish tank. We're not going to add fish. This water's got to filter through for a good 48, 72 hours. We'll get some bacteria developing in there before we even consider adding fish. But before we even consider adding fish, I want to make sure the trees are going to be in their spot, and I have to make sure that I can get this bonsai pot over to my new resting spot, because we're not going to be able to move this with any ease just by myself. As I try to lift it right now, I don't want to risk it. I'll have my son over, I'll grab this side, he can grab that side, and we'll go put it on its new home. In the meantime, for the rest of today, I'm just going to monitor the new fish tank with the bubbler and the new little crick here. We're going to see if everything holds true. This is truly super exciting. Hey, that does it for another edition of Dave's Bonsai. Thank you so much for watching. We are close, everybody. We are so close. Thanks for watching. All right, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.